Hello! I gotta put on my glasses so I can read the script easier, and I don't look so awkward. Widely credited as one of the best games of all time, Outer Wilds is a once-in-a-generation game that follows a story spanning thousands of years across old civilizations and how they influence future civilizations in a grand web of different perspectives that is uncovered in exploration through these remnants of old civilizations and the general universe. The game uniquely and masterfully combines narrative and gameplay in a story that is interconnected through these different times throughout history, and how they influence each other in the past, present, as well as the future. This game is very spoiler heavy, so I warn you about this when looking up reviews related to this game, since the less you know about it, the better your experience will be playing it. But to give a brief overview, Outer Wilds is a space exploration game where you play as an alien named a Hearthian, specifically on a planet of other Hearthians living their own lives. I will give a multitude of reasons why this game is so important and why so many people call this the best game of this generation. The things that this game offers is a compelling story that will set you on an adventure which is unlike any other game ever made. This game has not only one of the most interesting stories and the most satisfying conclusion in the entire gaming industry. There is a lot in this game that can be told around every corner, and everything you discover most likely has a lot of other ties within the story that are yet to be found. It is masterful in this aspect, and this mastery of storytelling is rarely found even in comparison to common literature, and it will offer an emotional and heartfelt journey that can only be played through once, but will leave you excited to explore and uncover the story up until the very end. This story, when it ties into the gameplay, is perfect because the gameplay is centered around you using story elements to solve puzzles that otherwise would have not been solved before. This is also the reason why this game is notoriously difficult to explain to many people and might be the reason it's not very popular. It's because a game can be extremely hard to explain, especially when everything about this game is a spoiler in one way or another. The whole point of this game is to go in completely blind and to see what you can discover for yourself. The whole point of this game is to go in blind and to see what you can discover, and the reason that unraveling of the story is so important is because when taken slowly, it makes the most entertaining and most thought-provoking open world game ever made. When both of the elements of storytelling and detective gameplay coincide together, it makes a game that is grand and honestly genius in how it pushes beyond the boundaries of narrative and instead it gives it to the player. Its open world of space, although very tiny, is actually a good thing because of how much care was put into the detail that was set into these tiny world spaces. Many other open world games typically make their open worlds too big, and that can cause problems within the narrative and the gameplay. But in Outer Wilds, this game is perfect because it just gives you enough of what the narrative and the gameplay desires, and the fact that it circulates within these elements can make a really, really interesting and captivating story along with some great gameplay. The story can have many objectives in which you can freely choose yourself, and with many unique planets to explore, each with their own stories that connect with each other. This makes a web of storytelling that is quite unique, and I haven't seen out of any other game or piece of general storytelling before. It is beautiful in how it deals with perspective of past civilizations and the history that interplay with those civilizations, and how the influence of those civilizations carry on to the species that is just now setting out to the vastness of space, uncovering the ruins of this civilization that existed before them. Although very, very fictionalized, it does bring out a lot of curiosity out of the player, which makes this a very exciting experience. Alex Beecham, who is the creative director of the game, stated this: "We wanted to make a space exploration game that captures a feeling of venturing out into the unknown out of sheer curiosity. Sort of the idea that humans have no business being in space at all, but we do it because we just like to know what's out there. Reading texts in this game may seem a little bit daunting, but these aren't texts that are just lore. They are texts that are there to progress you further into the game, and it is more like seeing through the remnants of a past civilization that once existed. And this is really interesting because this mechanic not only progresses you further into the game, but it also makes an interesting mechanic with the ship log system that records everything that you basically collected so far. This game is a solid 10 out of 10 out of all of the games I have played. It is one of those few games that doesn't seem to have a single flaw in sight, and it is a game that I beg you to play after watching this video. I guarantee you that if you were that one kid that always dreamed of going into outer space, being an astronaut, when you grow up, this is the perfect game for you to play. A lot of people say this game is not for everybody, and there might be some things such as the text that I mentioned that might seem tedious, but I cannot stress this enough. This game will reward you for the attention you put into it. If you have always been a curious person or a somewhat curious person, I believe this game is for everybody that takes the time to fully immerse themselves in the story that the game is trying to present. This game is pretty experimental and takes many unique creative liberties that a lot of people may not be used to, but when given a single chance, it rewards you with some of the best storytelling in all of gaming. This game is the only game that I have ever played where I see no flaws. As hard as I try to make an honest review about it, the only flaw that this game has is that once you play it once, you pretty much can't go back to it again. There is absolutely no replay value to this game, which really sucks because it gives you such an amazing experience the first time you play through it. This is just a game only made by a team of about 11 people, and they were able to make a game that is better than a lot of AAA games made by major studios. These people really cared about every single detail in this game, and they packed it with so much that's overwhelming. And there are still new details being found about this game every once in a while. The DLC that just came out for this game is absolutely amazing and massive enough to be sort of call it a sequel to this game. Craziest thing is they only spent 2 years on this DLC, and it's probably the best DLC out of any other DLC that has ever came out in any other video game ever. But I won't say anything about that one to leave people to discover what it's about on their own. I hope everything that I said here is enough to convince you to try out this game yourself. I'd say if you don't like it by the time you give it a full chance, maybe take a month break from it and revisit it again to give it another chance. I am telling you this because this is truly an important game you wouldn't want to miss out on. I think words are not enough to express why this game is so great. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, and bye bye.